Dear friend, my name is Samuel Ayim of CTL Africa Leadership, and I would like to invite you to our free weekly webinar, the Leadership Platform. The Leadership Platform is your space for learning everything leadership and personal development. We have been holding the Leadership Platform for the last 3.5 years every week, and thousands of leaders from all walks of life have benefited from the rich lessons from experienced leaders. As the year goes on, we are going to bring you even more enriching content. We're going to have a session called Leaders Are Readers, where every month we will bring you a book that all participants will be encouraged to read. We will share the summary of those lessons for you to guide you. We will also bring you a session on meeting with a CEO, where we will bring an experienced CEO from any industry to share their story and their lessons as leaders. Again, we will bring you the extraordinary leadership stories, where we scout out for emerging entrepreneurs and leaders doing extraordinary things in different fields to inspire you to do better. And of course, we will bring you the normal topics in leadership and personal development that would enrich your leadership. So I hope you make a date with us, CTL Africa, every Saturday, 7 p.m. on the Leadership Platform, live on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube. On our YouTube, you can also check some of the previous lessons for free. Make a date with us, CTL Africa, on the Leadership Platform, this and every Saturday at 7 p.m. There is a popular saying in leadership that if you think you're leading and there's nobody following you, you are only going on a walk. On this platform, you are going to learn principles of leadership. You are going to encounter different leaders. You are going to learn about how you can grow as a leader, how you can make an impact. My name is Samuel Ayim, and I'm the host for the Leadership Platform. I am a leadership coach, a lawyer by profession, a John C. Maxwell certified coach. I have been in corporate life in senior positions for several years, and now I run the Center for Transformational Leadership, where we train and coach leaders to become better leaders. And I invite you to go on a journey with us as we discuss the subject of leadership in the coming weeks. This and every Saturday, you have opportunity to ask questions, share your views on important leadership matters.
Hello, good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are joining us from, and welcome to the Leadership Platform powered by the Center for Transformational Leadership, CTL Africa Leadership. I know you're seeing an unfamiliar face, and today I'm going to be hosting the show. My name is Joy Bunsu, and I am the lead general at CTL Africa Leadership. Uncle Sam is our regular host, and today I'm taking his place to host this amazing learning experience. So kindly feel free to introduce yourself in the chat room. Tell us where you are joining us from, and we'll be glad to, introduce you to the world. It's exciting to have you on this, beautiful Saturday evening to discuss leadership. And our guest is ready, prepared to share her amazing topic with us today. All right, so I'm going to just be introducing those who are here. I see William Dafoe, who is joining us from Tema. A very warm welcome to you. Thank you so much for joining and connecting. I see Jemima Mensah as well, connecting from Accra. Thank you so much for joining. We love to have you here with us. And as we prepare ourselves, I want you to also start thinking about your expectations for tonight as we talk about leading with the power of language in the workplace. My name again is Joy Bunsu. Thank you all so much for connecting with us. All right. So just keep the introductions coming in and we will be introducing you. I see Simon Edu Jemfi, as usual, joining us again. Thank you so much. Malik is joining us from Kumasi. Wow, wow, wow. We're excited to have you. The team is powered up to bring you this amazing edition of the leadership platform. Thank you, Lami Hawa, joining from Latibio Koshi. And we have Bwiri James joining us from Uganda. Wow, it's a pleasure to have you. I see Awofia Joe also joining us from Accra. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Keep the introductions coming in. We love to have you on this conversation. Thank you so much. All right, so as the introductions keep coming in, we have some quick announcements for you. Some exciting things are happening from the CTL Africa leadership space, and we'd love to share that with you. So let me just introduce, for those of you who don't know, to the Growth Journey. Growth Journey Cohort 9 is starting soon. The Cohort 8 is wrapping up. And Growth Journey is a 10-week growth accelerator program which seeks to advance your personal and professional growth. I mean, this is a must attend or for any business professional who is intentional about their growth. All right, so you can find the details will be shared in the chat as we go along the program, or simply visit our website, www.ctlafricaleadership.com/courses, and you will be able to register for the Growth Journey. And the second amazing, I mean, I wish we could do some drum roll for those of you who have heard Live to Lead. This is our annual conference, which is powered by the Maxwell team, and the CTO Africa team is happy to host it again for the 8th time in a row. We're excited to let you know that the early bird tickets are now live. You can visit the livetoleadghana.com and begin to purchase your early bird tickets. It's only open for a short time, and so please grab the opportunity while you have it. Wow, wow, wow. Thank you so much for everyone joining. I see Tete also joining from Keta, Volta region. I see Conrad Kakraba joining from Amasaman. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I see Victoria as well. Thank you for joining us from Accra, and hello from Vivian Osei. Lovely. I think I also see Kwesi Asari Amwako joining us from Modena, Italy. He's a very regular guest, and we want to say thank you for joining us. So we'll be getting straight into the conversation this evening, and I know you all joined for a purpose. We have an amazing, amazing speaker joining us tonight, and I'm going to introduce her before she comes on stage in the person of Dr. Maame Nikabs. Yes, Dr. Maame Nikabs. So Dr. Maame Nikabs is the founder of LingLab Consult and the Fearless Woman Network. So it tells you the sort of person who is coming to lead the conversations today. And through her change management and leadership development firm, Dr. Nikabs partners with organizations globally to foster an empowered, high-performing culture where all talents can thrive. With her expertise as a certified behavioral analyst and a PQ coach, she'll be telling us about PQ when she comes on stage. Dr. Nikabs unlocks human potential by nurturing empathy, curiosity, and emotional intelligence in the workplace. Her inspirational yet practical approach provides executives and teams with proven strategies for dismantling systemic inequalities and creating an inclusive workplace. I mean, she has sharp insights in human behavior to equip leaders like yourselves on the call today with the mindset and the tools to transformative progress in diversity, equality, and inclusion. And today, I would just want the singular privilege of welcoming our guest for the leadership platform for her first time, Dr. Maame Nikabs, who will be joining us and sharing on the topic leading with the power of language in the workplace. Doc, good evening and welcome to the leadership platform.
Good evening, Joy, and thank you for such a beautiful introduction. Now, the pressure is on, but I
We're
wanted
all
to ask,
excited.
yeah,
Yes.
excited to be with you too, and thank you for the opportunity. The slides, has it been
Yes,
uploaded?
we're going
The
to put
PDF?
it up. We're going
Okay,
to put it up shortly.
okay,
So,
okay.
Doc, the stage is yours. The audience are ready. So please feel free to, do a bit more justice to your introduction, if you may, up, and then we'll put your slides up on the screen shortly.
Yeah. I think
All
you've
right.
covered everything. You've even over delivered. So thank you so much. I'm excited to be here this evening as well. I can't see the comments. I would be glad if I can see the comments and know those who are on the call and where they are
Yes.
joining us from. If they can share some of their expectations tonight, that would be
Yes.
lovely.
So please use the comment section to share your expectations where you are joining us from. And Doc will be able to share that with you as we go along. And then please be encouraged that as she goes through her presentation, you share your comments, your questions, and let's have a super engaging conversation today. All right,
Yes.
Doc. So your slides will be coming up in a bit, so you can just begin to roll.
Okay. Thank you so much once again, Joy and the team. Whilst we wait for the slides to come up, um, in one word, can you put in the comments? Oh, the slides are up. Oh, and they're gone. Amazing. That's technology for you. But yes, I can see. Yes, no, I can see the comments. Greater Accra. Oh, there's someone from Somenya. I'm also joining you from London. So this is a very global gathering, and I'm excited to be part of tonight. Whilst we are waiting for the slides, if you can put one word, what's your expectation for this evening? What do you hope to take away? I'll be so excited to oh, thank you. The slides are on. Yes, thank you. So, like Joy said, today, this evening, we are talking about leading with the power of language in the workplace. And I'm curious to know what came to mind when you saw the topic. Any ideas? What did you think we were going to talk about? If you can share with me in the chat, that would be lovely. So, yes. So a bit about me. So by training, I'm a linguist. I have a PhD in linguistics from the University, Queen Mary University of London. At heart, I'm a mom and a wife. I think the sweetest name I love to be called is Mommy on this earth. I'm a mom. I love mentoring. I love speaking. I love teaching. I love coaching. I love what I'm doing tonight, speaking and empowering people. So that's a bit about, and I love dancing. I love dancing. So I exercise. I use dance as my exercise. So you can see me with my favorite dance instructors, Kukwa. I'm sure some of you might know them. Kukwa Fitness. I love Kukwa Fitness. So that's like a bit of a snapshot about me in my world and all the various hats that I wear from day to day. Yeah, so just a reminder that this is a very safe space. Breathe. If you have a question as I talk, please do put your question in the chat box and then we'll come back to it. But even your questions, your comments, your contributions are so, so welcome. If I say anything that jumps at you and you think, oh, I can relate, please let me know, put it in the chat. I want to know that I'm not in this space alone and that you can actually hear me and I can also hear you. Okay? Yes, we can move on. Yes, so our agenda for this evening, very simple. We are going to talk about the power of language. Then we go into the art of mindful communication, building trust through inclusive language. And then finally, I would leave you with actionable strategies so that you can take all that you've learned tonight or all that you hear tonight and actually put it into action, because I love action. If we don't put what we are doing or what we are learning into action, then there's no use. So in a summary, that's what we are going to spend together in our time. Now, I want you to think about this quote for a moment. So words have the power to destroy or heal. When words are spoken in anger, they can create wounds that can last a lifetime. Think about that for a moment. Words have the power to heal or destroy. And I want you to ask yourself, have you ever thought about this? Are you mindful of your language choices? Are you aware of the fact that language has a profound impact? It said that language shapes our perceptions, our attitudes. So tonight, if for nothing at all, if only your takeaway is that words matter, language matters, and that you're going to be more mindful in your communication and your conversations, particularly as leaders, I think my work will be done. Words matter. So let me read that again so that it will sink in. Words have the power to destroy or heal. So the power is really yours. Anytime you are speaking, I want you to pause for a moment and ask, is this word going to heal or is actually going to destroy? And in the workplace, how can we destroy our people? We demoralize them. We say words to them that make them feel as if they're not part of the team or that they are not welcome. And that's destroying. The power really is in our hands daily, our word choices. We have the power to choose to use our language or our words either to destroy or heal. And I would recommend and suggest that from today, we consciously choose our words with intention and make sure that every word that comes out of our mouth actually heals and doesn't destroy. So now let's move on to the next slide. So again, the key takeaways for that is that our words are powerful tools that can shape perceptions, behaviors, and outcomes within teams. You see, we are far more constrained by our words than we think. And I want you to imagine for a moment, if you're a team leader or you've ever led a meeting, and at the end of the meeting, you've asked, is there any agenda, any other business? More often than not, what response do you get? We use that as a token question to solicit response, to solicit engagement. But more often than not, if you use that any other agenda, any other business, you find 90% of the time, nobody putting their hand up to say something. A better alternative will be to ask. So Joy, for example, Joy, is there anything that jumped at you during this meeting? Is there anything that I left out? When you do that, you are signaling to Joy that her opinion matters to you and you are willing and ready to listen. Research has also shown that in mediation crisis, when police call during someone is trying to take their life, for example, or to commit a suicide, or something is happening, they've called the police and they are trying to get the person on the other end to talk, and they use the word, I want you to talk to me. They don't talk. But when they use the word speak, people are willing to talk. So I just want you to see the power of words and how that can shape outcomes within your teams, how that can encourage team interaction and team engagement. Another one that I love as well is, particularly when you are giving someone an instruction that you think they might resist a bit, instead of asking Joy, can you do this for me? Rather say, Joy, are you willing to do this? Now, when you use willing, you are giving that sense of agency and power to Joy. She feels as if she's in control. So the chances that Joy will happily do that for you, research has shown that the outcomes are much better when we use the framing, are you willing, than can you, or please do this for me. So again, just bringing to the fore the importance of how we frame. We can look, speak and talk. They are saying the same thing. Could you open the door for me? Or could you write that report? Or are you willing to write that report? They are essentially the same. I'm saying the same thing, but the framing and the choice is different. Now, the other thing I want to touch on is inclusive communication. And you might wonder what inclusive communication is. So, inclusive communication simply is communication that is respectful, that is mindful, that doesn't use words that people find offensive. So, communication that is sensitive. It directly impacts employee well being and engagement. Again, leaders, you set the tone for your organization's communication culture through your own language choices. So if your team members constantly see you, they hear you speak in a particular way, you are setting the tone for them to follow, to do same. So if you want conversations to be respectful, you have to set that tone. And we can all perform a little audit. Look at your emails, for example, your text messages. So I'm talking about communication across all channels, face-to-face interactions, email messages, text messages, whatever way we use to get our messages across. Throughout the organization as leaders, we need to set the standard and the tone, and your people will follow. So again, just to reiterate that it is important what we say, and not only that, how we say. That's why I gave you those examples of framing to show you how we can say the same thing, but saying it differently delivers different results and outcomes. Yes. So let's talk about the language trap. I know most of us are Africans. So it's even in Ghana, for example. So this UN report says that Africa boasts about 2,000 languages. Ghana alone, we have roughly about 59, 60 languages. Linguists are not sure about the number here. We don't have a definitive amount, but we just speak lots of language. Think about the impact of that for the workplace, in the workplace. If you're working in an organization with offices across Africa, what does that mean? It can be a challenge as well as an opportunity. So the language trap, what do we have to do? What can we do with that? Now, when we have people coming from different backgrounds, so I want to start with the opportunity. When we have people from different linguistic backgrounds coming together, it just opens up a wealth of opportunity for us to tap into creativity. So people coming from different backgrounds, using language differently, they have different ways of doing things. So that's the potential there. Creativity, innovation. So someone on the team speaks Akan, someone speaks Hausa. I'm using the Ghanaian language because that's what I'm familiar with, or someone speaks Kiswahili, so we all have different ways of thinking, different thought patterns that are influenced by our culture and our ethnicity. So that's the beauty of linguistic diversity. My question to you as leaders is, do you even know how linguistically diverse your team is? I mean, look at your corporate communications. Let's even look at Ghana alone. Most of our corporate communications are in English. Nothing wrong with that. But what about the others? What about the other languages? Now, the challenge is that language can be a barrier if we are not careful, or if you're not mindful of cultural nuances and diverse communication styles. And as members who are on this platform, I know you know about different communication styles. So we need to, that is good to know, but equally we need to understand that our cultural nuances, our cultural backgrounds shape and influence how we use language and how we even perceive meaning. That's why language can be a barrier. The other thing is that there are lots of unconscious biases that can be embedded in language, leading to microaggressions and hindering inclusivity. So when I talk about unconscious bias, I mean just think about the words unconscious bias. So bias is simply the mind's way of processing information quickly. So those shortcuts. So for example, if you hear someone with a very thick northern accent, for example, you make an immediate association. Oh, this person is from northern Ghana. Oh, this person probably went to school here. Those short, quick assumptions and associations that we make, those shortcuts, that's what bias is. It's useful because it helps us to make decisions quickly. Now we filter our decisions through those unconscious biases that we all have. If you've never taken an unconscious bias test, I would encourage that you take the one from Harvard, implicit bias test. If you Google it, Harvard implicit bias test, it just shows to you that, and particularly when it comes to Africans, we think that because we are all black, we are not biased. We are all biased. As I'm speaking, you are trying to make judgments and trying to infer, my language choices can tell you something about my level of education. Even if you don't know, you can infer those things from the way I speak and my choice of words. So those are the unconscious biases that can be embedded in language. So you have people, for example, saying that, oh, again, forgive me, not, but this is a example that clearly comes to mind, that we have this joke that we make in Ghana that people from northern Ghana are good security men. I mean, how can that be a joke? We laugh about it, but it can be offensive to someone. So we are saying that without saying it, these people are good for nothing but to be watchmen or security men. Again, forgive me for making, but that's the one that readily comes to mind. So it just shows to you all these unconscious. We say, men, your colleague male is crying, or a team member male is crying, and like, why are you crying? That can't say men don't cry. Why are you behaving like a woman? You're a woman. Stop behaving like a man. Those are all biases. So women are expected to behave in a particular way. Men are expected to behave in a particular way. Who said that? Who laid those rules? Yes, the unspoken insults. Thank you, Rosalind. They are so embedded in language. But from today, I want you to be conscious about your language choices. Imagine you have a colleague who is a northerner in your office and you're passing such a comment. Or if you are a northerner and somebody says something like that about your tribe, how do you feel? So let's be mindful of that. So those comments that we pass, that's what we call the microaggressions. And sometimes they use the word banter. Oh, it's a joke. It's not a joke. If you say it and the person says that I am offended, apologize for it. Some people are okay with this, others are not. Now, the point about hindering inclusivity is that some of those utterances make people feel that they are not welcome in certain spaces. Or if they are on our team members, they are not welcome. They don't feel a part of the team. They don't feel a sense of belonging. If we have majority accounts in our team, but we have people who don't speak Akan, and then immediately we start speaking Akan. Those who don't understand Akan, how do you think they feel? They don't feel included. So our language choices in the workplace, we assume, particularly for those of us in Accra, Ghana, we assume that everybody speaks Chi. It's not the case. We have foreigners who come, who are part of us. They don't feel included. They feel left out because they don't understand. So if you are in a diverse setting, make the effort to be inclusive in your language choices, not just what you say, but even the language choice that you use, whether you're speaking Ghana, you're speaking Hausa, wherever it is that you are. Make sure that if that's the language that, if everybody can speak that language, that is fine. If not, choose one that everybody on the team can understand and can contribute to that conversation. If not, they feel left out. Thus hindering inclusivity. Now, the problem with that is that it affects employee well-being. It affects their mental health. Okay, let's move on. Yes, I love this one. Language style and leadership decisions. Now, when you hear or you put on the television, and there's someone, let's look at the GTV news presenters. They come on and they are speaking flawless English. What association do you make in your mind? I want you to put in the comments. What comes to your mind if you hear someone speaking flawless, what we call impeccable English with no mistakes? What do you think about that person? What would you say? Good standard English with no flaws. And in Ghana, even when they add the accents, they have a small UK or American accent. They've killed us. What comes to mind when we hear people speak like that? I want to know in the chat. Elizabeth, I've seen your question. I'll come to it. But I want people. Do I have people on this call? Are people hearing me? If you hear someone speak impeccable English, more often than not, we think, what an intelligent person. This person is well read. This person probably has went to a very good school. You know, I love this person. I love the way this person speaks. The person is intelligent. So usually when we hear someone speak standard language, there's a bias. Individuals who speak the standard version of the dominant language, whether be it English or French, German, whatever, we think that they are intelligent. But the truth is there's no correlation between speaking standard, flawless English with intelligence. Likewise, when we hear people speak the substandard, Ghana, if you hear someone speaking in a pidgin, and I observe this a lot. There are numerous times I walk into an MTN office in Ghana and you can see customer service personnel two people, one speaking very good English, the response is different. One either speaking Chi or Ga or Pidgin, broken English, the response is different. It shouldn't be the case. It shouldn't be the case at all. We shouldn't discriminate based on the type of language that the person is using, be it standard or non-standard. You see, so as leaders, what are the consequences of this? We're in leadership position, we are hiring. It affects hiring, unfair hiring decisions and promotions, because we think those who are articulate means that they are intelligent, so they get the job. It's easy for them to get the job, and it's easy for them to get promoted. Now, those who are not, it's difficult for them to get in. If they get in, much more difficult for them to even progress in the organization. Now, the other thing too is that when we talk about leadership and what an effective leader is, think about it in your mind. When you hear a good leader, an effective leader, those attributes are very masculine. Very, very masculine. So, leaders, women, we struggle in that regard. So, for a woman to prove herself that she can be in a leadership position, look at the barrier. Leadership skills, attributes are talked about in very masculine terms. They are framed using masculine traits. So women, that's why we don't have so many women in leadership roles. You're sitting on an interview panel, a woman comes, she's soft spoken, she's gentle, and you're asking yourself, how can she be a leader? If she's not soft spoken, she's harsh, you ask yourself, who is this? She doesn't behave like a woman. That's why gender equality is, we are still miles away from it. So what we even think about as good leaders, so we find them, our male counterparts being promoted easily above our female counterparts. So leaders, now when you're making hiring, you're sitting on an interview panel, for example, my humble suggestion to you is that you listen to what is being said and not how it is being said. So listen to the content. That's the only way you can know whether this person, that's a much better way to evaluate a candidate's ability to do a job or not how they sound. So again, going over the consequences, unfair hiring and promotion decisions create a barrier for people from minority groups, women particularly. It creates a culture that excludes or disadvantages certain groups. Again, we undervalue the skills and contributions of diverse team members if we don't give them the opportunity to speak. Look, some of the comments that we pass about how people use language. So most of the people on our teams are muted. They are not speaking. By doing that, we are stifling innovation. We are killing creativity because they keep their opinions and their ideas to themselves. They are afraid of being ridiculed for making a mistake. The number of times we laugh at people, the Ashantis, for example, they would, instead of an R or L, they use it interchangeably. And in Akan is normal because in Akan, those two alphabets are the same. But we laugh at them. We even say me R or me L, and yet, so I have a problem with my R and my L. And we have innovative ideas. People are in our offices and they are unable to speak because of how we negatively evaluate their language style and how they speak. If we really want to tap into the creativity of our teams and hear Look, there's richness in diversity of thought. As a leader, evaluate your inner circle. Evaluate your inner circle. Ask yourself, who have you surrounded yourself with? Is it the same people who speak like you, speak similar language, come from the same background? Innovation is dying in your organization. Now, I want us to touch on building trust with inclusive language strategies. So, I've talked about what inclusive language is: language that is respectful, that avoids demeaning words, and that is sensitive to cultural nuances and cultural differences. So, what are some of the things we can do? So, avoid jargons, those technical terms. So, new members of the team, and you are onboarding them or team meeting, and that's when you are using all your jargons that they don't understand. They don't feel like they are welcome. They don't feel a part of the team. Idioms is another one, particularly for us Africans who are so diverse. Or we should avoid using proverbs specific to our own region or language group. So explain technical terms and acronyms clearly, especially when you're addressing a diverse audience. Now, use gender neutral language when referring to roles or positions. We easily, when we talk about a doctor, it's easy for us to revert to the male pronoun, as if it's only males who are doctors. There are female doctors. So why do we use only the male pronoun? So team leader, for example, is a better choice than to say foreman or there's this popular yes, chairperson is better than chairman. That's gender neutral. Again, encourage open dialogue and ask clarifying questions from your team members. That you're driving and you're really using language as a tool to drive positive results in the workplace. Now, so that's that about language and how we can use inclusive language. Now, I want us to get into mindful communication. What do we mean by mindful communication? I've talked about the fact that our language choices has an impact. What we say and how we say it impacts on our listeners. And that impact can either be positive or negative. So we want to be leaders who are very mindful of how we communicate. And I'm going to introduce you to a particular framework, the positive intelligence approach, and how that can help you to become more mindful in your conversations and in your interactions. So simply, mindful communication starts with self-awareness. So I saw that somebody puts their emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is key if you are going to be a mindful communicator. Again, understanding your own emotions and the emotions of others as well. So I'll get into understanding our own emotions in a bit. Understanding your potential biases. Please, leaders, if you haven't already, take the Harvard Implicit Bias Test. Understand your own potential biases. Understand how your own mindsets can interfere with you communicating mindfully. So we'll talk about saboteurs like the judge, stickler, and pleaser. So you might be thinking, what are saboteurs? So saboteurs are basically the negative voices in our heads, almost like the naysays in our heads saying, oh, don't do this, you can't do that. And they come in varying forms, but I'll just touch, because we don't have lots of time, I would touch on the judge, stickler, and pleaser. Now, so these saboteurs, these negative voices that we have in our minds, and sometimes it just doesn't influence what we say to others, but it influences what we say about ourselves, the inner conversations that we have with ourselves. So these saboteurs can distort our thinking and lead to ineffective communication. So the first point I said was mindful communication starts with self-awareness. So by identifying these saboteurs and learning to manage them, you can choose your words carefully and project a more positive and inclusive leadership style. So for the judge, for example, if you were a leader, so uh, just before I go in there, I forgot to put this on the slide. But if you go, okay, I'll share the link with Joy and she can share with you afterwards. But if you're on the call, you can put in that. If you go to www.positiveintelligence.com, you can take the saboteur assessment. If you go onto the website, come down to the page, there's an orange section that says discover your saboteurs. It can show to you what your saboteurs are and how they can interfere with you. And it's not just for communication, but in all areas of our lives as leaders. So let's look at the judge. So the judge is that one that criticizes ourselves and others. You know, you say to yourself, "Oh, Joy, you didn't do well. That was so poor. You could have done better." We are constantly, always judging ourselves and we are judging others. Now, if you rely on your judge saboteur, let's say you've asked someone to write a report for you, and immediately you see it, your judge just goes high and you get angry and you're like, what kind of report is this? I trusted you to do a good work and you've done this silly work. What do you expect me to do with that? How would your team member feel when you give them that feedback? You've judged them harshly. And for crying out loud, I'm not sure everything they did was wrong. So I always say to leaders, a better approach is to take your time and read it and say, oh, actually, start with a positive feedback. You did A, B, and C well. Where I would want to see an improvement is C, D, Q, F. State it clearly. Let the person know exactly what you expect from them the next time. We all have a judge. I don't think there's anybody who's never judged themselves. So we judge ourselves, we judge others, and then we judge our circumstances. So if you've seen something and your judge saboteur is staring at your face, telling you, tell this person off, tell them as it is, tell this person off. Hold on a moment and ask yourself, how will this telling off impact on the well-being and the mental health of my team member? Now, the pleaser, leaders who are pleasers, they are the leaders who want everybody on the team to be happy with them. So they are the extreme ends. They want everybody on the team to be happy with them. They find it difficult giving constructive feedback. If you're a leader and you're like that, your people don't grow. So I'm not saying we shouldn't give feedback, but I'm encouraging that we give constructive feedback. If you score very high on the stickler saboteur, if you take the assessment and realize that your stickler is very high, how can that impact your communication? Because you are a perfectionist. You expect that everything that everybody does is perfect. You are the person who is likely to spot the errors quickly. You didn't cross this T. So the entire report that the person wrote because of one T they didn't cross. You tell them off. So I want us to be aware of how our emotions can get in the way of mindful communications. So we're moving away from I-centered communication to that person-centered approach, being empathetic in the feedback that we give our team members. That's what mindful communication is all about. So the basic starting point is self-awareness. Understanding your own emotions, understanding them, how the emotions of others, your own potential biases, and how they can get in the way of having mindful conversations. So I encourage all of us to take the assessment. Now let's move into how then, what are the tools that we can use? How can we have mindful conversations? Number one on the list, let's be empathetic. Now, so I'm talking about empathy for ourselves and for our team members as well. So we are seeing, or we are putting ourselves in their shoes. So empathy, the other word that I use for empathy is seeing things from the perspective of your team member or your colleague. Active listening, seeking to understand your team member. So if you're empathetic, you'll be careful about your word choices, the word choices that you would make. Again, explore. So you are co-creating meaning and finding solutions with your team members. So as a leader, you don't have all the answers. Create that environment where you co-create. You find solutions, you explore together with your team members. How can we do this? It just opens up the opportunities for them to share, opens up the room for dialogue, open communication, diverse perspective. Then we are tapping into creativity, we are tapping into innovation, the things that we want to see in the workplace. Explore. So even if they've brought something that according to your standard is not the best, what could have helped you to do this better the next time? What did you need? Is there any explanation? So you're exploring with them. Okay, this is the feedback you've brought me. Do you think there are any other ways? When we do that, we empower our team members by what we are saying to them. It's not just the money. The fat paycheck is good, but language is also critical and always almost ignored in our workplace. So navigate. And I want you to think about navigate in the terms that ask yourself at the end of your career, what impression do you want your colleagues to have about you? As the compassionate leader, or as a leader who didn't care about anybody's feelings and will tell you off as it is. Now, if you have that at the back of your mind, you'll be mindful in your conversations, you'll be mindful in your interactions, because you are thinking about not just today. Ask yourself, at the end of your life, looking back, what do you want to be remembered for? Is it your harsh leadership style, or the fact that you were really able to bring everybody on board and made everyone on your team feel that they are valued and that they have a sense of belonging and that their voice matters? Now, the next one is innovate. We are really digging into being innovative here. So it has elements of exploration. What if? What if somebody brings this? And so doing team members, team meetings, have brainstorming sessions with your team members. What if? What if we try this? What if we tweak this a little bit? What do you think, Abena? Kwesi, what? That way, we can generate innovative ideas. Now, activate simply means that we are taking action. So all the things you're learning tonight, you actually take action. We are taking action, that we are not just listening and say, oh, we've heard, but we actually put them. So I want you, if you can, to put in the chat one thing you are going to do differently at the end of today's call. Or because as a result of what you have heard, one thing you're going to do differently. One way in which you are going to change your leadership approach and leadership style. Now, before I leave you, I want us to do a very simple activity. If we can move on to the next slide. Very, very simple activity. And you can do this activity before your team meetings, before you have a performance review. So all those high-stake situations where you think emotions might get out of hand. And this is just simply to center you so that you, in that moment, you are calm and you are taking clear, focused action. So I'm going to go off camera for us to do this activity. And I would invite as many of us who can join in to do it. And I want us to have a goal so that you can do it on your own in your offices. So if you can, I want you to sit comfortably in your chair with your feet flat on the floor. Now rest your hands on your lap or gently on your keyboard. Now close your eyes if you feel comfortable doing so, or maintain a very soft gaze at your screen. Straighten your spine comfortably, allowing for a relaxed yet attentive posture. Now I want you to focus on your breathing. Now begin to bring your attention to your breath. Notice the sensation of your breath as you inhale and exhale. Now, if you are comfortable and if you prefer, place your hand on your chest or abdomen to feel the rise and fall. Now, I want us to count our breaths. Inhale deeply for a count of 4. Hold your breath for a moment and then exhale slowly for a count of 6. Now repeat this pattern a few times. Just breathing in and breathing out. As you exhale, consciously release any tension. Imagine the breath carrying away any stress or distractions, leaving you in a state of calm awareness. Now, if your mind starts to wander, it's fine. Bring it back. Bring it back to the session. Bring it back to what you're doing. Acknowledge any thoughts without judgments and redirect your attention to the present moment. Now, as we conclude, I want you to take this practice into your workplaces, that before you enter your meetings, sometimes even in the middle of your meetings, when you see that your emotions are getting a better part of you, just slowly, you can even keep your eyes open and do a few breaths. It just centers you and makes you calm. Now, with this sense of centered awareness, I would release you and say thank you all for joining me tonight. If you have any questions, do put them in the chat. And if you want to get in touch with me, I think Joe. Oh, I forgot to share my LinkedIn. Joe, you should have reminded me, but I forgot. But Joy, thank you so much. Thank you and the team for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nikabs. So I think this is her contact information on her last slide that you can reach out to her at ifua.nikabs@linglabconsult.com. Wow, this has been, just the last exercise really helped me to center as well and to really calm, in this moment. You have so many comments and questions already in the chat. And so, I mean, because of time, we're just going to dive right into it. There were so many nuggets that you shared, which I think is so practical for any leader at any level to implement. So thank you so much, Dr. Nikabs, for such an insightful presentation. So let me just start with some comments. We have Scofrey saying, this is a relevant discussion, very relevant discussion. Thank you so much for that comment. And let's take a question from Elizabeth. Elizabeth says, so I have a problem with a very good friend because of the tone. And I realize it's a tribal thing. How do I deal with it?
Yes. So I think, is it Elizabeth who asked that question? She's
Yes.
noticed that it's a tribal thing. So it's not something that is intentional, but you can draw your friends' attention. We can all improve and get better. Oh, I love everything about you, but I think if you just tone down your tone a little bit, and don't get offended by it. So if it's a tribal thing, that's, you're aware, Elizabeth, where it's coming from, and that she's not doing it on purpose. It's not something that she or he's doing on purpose, but that's just part of her background as well. So I would say point it out, and you might probably have to point it out a number of times because he or she that's been part of them for a very long time. So it will be difficult to move away with, but that's all part of those conversations around how we speak and our tone. But I don't encourage policing people's language practices. I don't encourage that. Because when you do that, it's almost as if you are asking the person to be somebody that they are not. But as well, we have to be mindful of the context. If you're in the office, what's an appropriate tone to address our colleagues and our supervisors? Yes, so that would be my response.
Okay. Thank you for that. So Kwame Na also shares that, how do you reconcile this with a member who is deaf and dumb? I mean, yes, that's also another channel of communication.
Yes,
right?
that's another challenge. I've been saying lately that we all need to learn sign language. It has to be a part of our curriculum, learning how to sign, because if not, most of the time I have been to. So, Joy, just a Friday, I went to speak at an event, at least, and I asked the organizers, how come we don't have anybody who is signing here? So, as leaders, we should make that conscious effort that if we are hosting events, if we have a member of our team who cannot articulate or speak like we can, let's hold space for them and make sure that we give them the resources. And as well, if we can learn, ask them to teach you a few things. Let's make the effort just to make them feel included and part of the team. You see, so all of us can make an effort.
Right. Because I remember, when I was in high school, junior high school, we used to, a path of ours from school passed through a deaf and dumb school. And by the time we were actually done from 3 years, anytime we pass by, we learn a thing or two.
Yes.
So at least you can say hello, and it has a way of bridging the gap and that inclusivity. Anywhere I go, I'm able to sign, hello, what's your name? And my name is. And even if I cannot continue, it's a very great or powerful tool for inclusivity. Just the person knowing that you had that in mind. I think it's very, very
you acknowledge them, and so maybe you should teach us how to sign hello.
So you have your good morning, your good morning, and then you have your, when you're doing thank you and you're clapping, there are a few signs there.
Yes.
Okay, so I have Rosalind Pratt who also says, how do you balance holding people to account and EI? So, when you talked about the judge and you talked about the pleaser, but, how do you hold people when you still want to be inclusive? That's a really good question.
Very, very good question. So that's why I talked about there's a way of giving constructive feedback. So we don't want to be on the extremes that we are completely avoiding giving negative feedback. But there's a way of giving negative feedback that doesn't even make it feel like it's negative. And I think that's one of the things that my training as an academic has taught me, that when you're marking students' scripts, give positive feedback first before you give the negative feedback. So I'm not in any way saying that we shouldn't give the point is constructive feedback, not just shallow criticism. That's what I want us to move away, because most of the time we just criticize. We don't tell the people what we expect them to do better and how they can do that. When you give that feedback, that's constructive feedback. Uh-oh, is Joy still on the call? I think Joy has fallen off now. We might have lost Joy.
Okay, I guess I'm here. Joy, can you? Hello, Maame, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here, but I think Joy has fallen off.
Yes, Joy has fallen off, so I'm stepping in from my conference. Hello, everyone. I'm in a conference in the US, but I was in the background just to step up if there is a problem. So I guess you were talking about EI and empathy.
Yes.
Talking about feedback.
Yes.
And you did mention the fact that if people could give constructive feedback and using the sandwich method,
yes,
in the sense they give the positive and then they give the areas that they want to improve and then also add a positive. And indeed, I love PQ because I'm a PQ coach.
Oh.
I'm a PQ coach. And one of the ways also, a tool that our audience could use is the game that we called Yes and.
And if, yes,
yeah,
yes,
and
yes.
looking at the 10% of what the person said that is really great, saying what I like about what you said is so and so, and then you add the way the person could improve upon whatever he or she is saying or what you want, how the person could be more efficient.
Yes.
So guys, this is a tool that you can use when you are communicating with your staff, all right, or people within your community. So let's see, I'm going down the chat to see whether there are other questions for you. And I can see the next comment is from Paul Esiedu, who says he's watching from Accra and enjoying the show. And he's giving you a commendation that God should richly bless you.
Amen.
And the next person is Jonathan. And Jonathan watching from Accra, Ottawa, good teaching. Okay, another commendation. And I don't seem to see any other comment. So, Maame, what maybe I'll love you to share with the audience is what is the difference between positive intelligence and emotional intelligence? If you could expand a little bit more on that, that will help us. Thank you.
I think, I think there's something we can do together since you're a PQ coach yourself. I think I always see that PQ embodies, so if you're able to develop your PQ or build your PQ muscles, it embodies all this emotional intelligence. So it's almost as if we have so many different little competencies that we have to learn at different times. if you're able to build your mental muscle and build your PQ capacity, you have all those things. So emotional intelligence is simply being aware of your own emotions and other people's emotions and how that affects them. Now, PQ is a system that equips you to build your emotional intelligence, and not just emotional intelligence, but all those other competencies that are effective for leaders. So I'm keen to hear what you have to say. But I think, simply put, that's what I would say.
Yeah, indeed. However, I will add that when it comes to PQ, you are really using all your five senses. All of us have got the senses. So, as the person, I think it was Elizabeth, who was saying this person has the tone of
Yeah,
the voice is something that may be really grates on her. And therefore, if it is the tone, what are some things that she could use to really, when the person is speaking and it's grating on her, to regulate herself and really embracing with empathy, as you talk about empathy. Empathy, what the person is saying, not just to focus on the tone. We have the touch, yeah, we do have the touch, we have the sight, and even if the person is speaking in that tone with the mirror neurons that we have in our brains, the way that you even communicate with a person, looking at the person in the eye or focusing on an area can even communicate with that person to really adapt the way he or she is grating on you. So it's not you telling the person, but your response, your response, and how the person connects with you in that language, and the body language is the
yeah,
embodiment
and the
that you use.
embodiment. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, amazing.
Okay, so let's see whether there are other questions. And yeah, so Mami, I would like you to share with us how you have been using this with the children. It's a children group that you are working with, right? Is
No,
that
no, no.
okay?
But I
All right.
use it with my children anyway.
Okay,
Since
so
I got introduced to PQ, I teach it to my children.
okay, so how are your children relating to this, and what are some of the examples that you can share with us?
Well, I think I borrow a lot from Shazad's example. I mean, so when we are at the dining table, for example, say, take your time and chew on your food and feel all the textures in your mouth. You know, most of the time we rush to eat and we don't even enjoy the food. You know,
Mm-hmm.
so as my 10-year-old, for example, she initially you couldn't get her to sit still. She's that hyper active type of person. But doing this continually, I have seen a major shift
Mm-hmm.
because now she takes the time to sit down and she does things. And I when I do something and my saboteur, you know, I'm a stickler. So I come back and where I put the spoon is not there. And I'm like, who puts the spoon here? And everybody's like, mommy, but the spoon is on the, doesn't matter where the spoon is. And so I call myself out that, that's my stickler
Mm-hmm.
showing up there, you know.
Okay.
And when I give them a feedback, I scream at them or do something that I notice that I apologize and say I allowed my negative self to take a hold of me instead of allowing my positive self. And there are times that they do things that I tell them I'm not going to respond now. I would
Okay.
give it a moment or two before I respond. So these are some of the ways I use it with my children.
Okay, wonderful. So I don't see any more questions that are coming
Yes.
up. So what I'll do is maybe if you could give us your closing remarks for this evening, we'll call it a night. So over to you, Mami. It's been great having you. Just let's have your closing remarks.
Well, I think in closing, I think I've said everything I wanted to say, but I think in closing, I would just want to thank the team for inviting me and say to everyone that, again, language matters. Your language has a profound impact on people. So be careful and mindful in your communication choices and educate yourself on your own biases. This mindful communication starts with self-awareness. Let's be more inclusive in our interactions, and let's make sure that we are hearing everybody's voice, and that no perspective is left, or no potential is left untapped because of our negative attitudes towards certain language styles in the workplace. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Maame. I don't know whether Joy is back. If not, I'll just want to say it's been a great time with all of you, and you always showing up. We want to say a big thank you to Maame, to the team at CTL, and of course you, the audience, for always being present to interact with us, and spending this Saturday evening with us. So next week, we will come to you with another episode of the Leadership Platform. And before I sign off, I'm just checking if Joy is here again. No, she is not. So it's a good night to all of you. And as Mr. Eyim will always say, tomorrow is Sunday. Don't forget to go to church for those of us who are Christians. And if you have any faith, also give thanks to God for being with all of us. So until next week, it's been the Leadership Platform signing off. Bye-bye.
My name is Eliza.
My name is Elsie.
My name is Ebenezer Tufo.
This is Rosemary Robert Gacy.
Over the past 14 weeks, I have been part of CTL Africa's 15-week growth journey, and it has been a blessing for me. I want to share my lessons with you.
Indeed, my attitude to life has never been the same. On the very first day, I joined the virtual Personal Growth and Leadership Masterclass organized by Center for Transformational Leadership CTL Africa under the tutelage of Mr. Samuel Eyim.
First, the law of intentionality. Second, the law of design. And third, the law of the rubber band, the law of expansion.
The law of intentionality, the law of awareness. Then we have the law of the mirror.
Looking at how intense these laws are and how much impact they're supposed to make to our life.
My value obviously is not the same. The program indeed satisfies my quest for knowledge. So I encourage you to be part of this journey and also become an encouragement to others.
I will recommend CTL Africa to everyone who hears about us.
It has been a blessing to me, and I will encourage you to be part of CTL Africa's 15-week growth journey.
So we thank Mr. Eyim, we thank CTL, and thank you for listening to us.
God bless you as you make a move today.
I have been blessed, and so you be blessed. Thank you.